Hi there, Agile friends. I'll come in here just with a quick note to let you know that the Agile Online Summit 2022 is coming soon. To know more, check out bit.ly/AOS2022. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/AOS2022. Now, stick around to the end of the episode if you want to know more, but for now, on to the show. Welcome, everybody, to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, joining us from Curitiba in Brazil is Ricardo Ribeiro. Hey, Ricardo, welcome to the show.
Hello, Vasco. My pleasure attending this show. I hope I can provide my background to this amazing podcast.
Absolutely. So Ricardo is a Scrum Master and a certified professional Scrum Product Owner as well, with over 10 years of experience leading high-performing teams and delivering complex transformational programs within the banking, IT, hardware, and oil and gas companies. So, Ricardo, that was a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Okay, Vasco. So, as you said, I have a long experience in project management. I think I started as a traditional project manager, trying to deliver projects using the Waterfall process. But at some point, I felt like kind of uncomfortable, or how can I say, a little bit frustrated, because I was delivering projects with a bad value to business. So when you use the Waterfall, and I don't have any restriction if we have other guys delivering projects using Waterfall, right? So I delivered dozens of projects using Waterfall, right? But if you deliver projects using Waterfall, you need to manage scope, budget, and resource, right? So you need to take in consideration that sometimes at the beginning of any project, the business don't need or don't have all informations about their needs, right? So if we try to follow a strict plan with a target date to go live that project with a limited number of resources, probably we will fail, right?
And very often we do, I guess, because the industry data points to that exactly.
Yeah, so nowadays the industry is very complex. Sometimes you have a need today, but in 2 months from now, that needs will be different. We need to adapt ourselves to the new needs from the market, right? So, and I think when you use Scrum, for example, we have opportunity to inspect and adapt and assess if we are progress towards.
The first project that you started as a Scrum Master, was this kind of a project that started as Waterfall and then changed to Scrum? How did you start your career as a Scrum Master?
Yeah, actually, I was delivering projects exceeding the timelines, right? Exceeding the budgets. And I felt a kind of uncomfortable and frustrated. And I tried to figure out different ways of delivering projects. So it was like a 2014, 2015, maybe, right? Then I tried to discuss with other colleagues in a project management, and they told me, okay, Ricardo, I think we have some other frameworks that you should try, right? One of them is Scrum. And starting that, I'm trying to be a kind of self-learner. I used to read a lot of books. I used to attend some sessions. I used to learn what was Scrum, what was Agile, right? But I could not give up doing Waterfall projects, right? So there was a transition period, and I can tell you about this later, when I tried to transition from a traditional project management to a more Scrum environment, right? So that was my long story short, right? The intention to deliver or to bring value to the business in a more efficient way.
Yeah, and as we search very often, as it happens, I'm myself, I am also a traditional project manager by training. I was a certified project manager before I ran my first Scrum project, and I usually these days call myself a recovering project manager because you never really lose everything that you learned back then, right? Like sometimes you just want to reach for those old tools again. And some of those tools are still very useful even today. I mean, a very simple one, which is not very often talked about, is stakeholder management, which is something that Scrum Masters need to do in practice, but Scrum itself as the framework gives you only a few tools for that to happen, right? Collaboration with the product owner, review, and that's it. But we need more than that as an example. However, as we start transitioning, of course, we also go through our ups and downs, right? And as a Scrum Master, I imagine that some of your projects didn't really go as you expected. And you, as a Scrum Master, still had a lot to learn. So we want to explore one of those stories, Ricardo. Tell us a little bit about the context and then explore with us what happened at that time that now, looking back, you know it was a mistake, but of course, at that time you didn't. And then we'll discuss the details of how to make it better, what we can take from there, and what our listeners can also apply to their work. But first, tell us that story, Ricardo.
Yeah, I would say, I think the first time we never forget, right? The first project that we deliver, it always be a kind of a nightmare because you need to form a team. On my case, it was necessary to form a team to set some roles. Of course, myself would be the Scrum Master. We should assign someone to act as a product owner, and we should get some guys that would like to join the team, but sharing other skills with other teams, right? It was like a pilot that was necessary to form that small Scrum team, right? And it was a complete mess because at the first sprint planning, what we should do on a sprint planning, right? So we try to discuss about the business needs. The PO didn't know or didn't have experience, right? And the PO tried to bring some important stuff to team to discuss. The team didn't know how to deliver projects using Scrum. They didn't. They were not mature how to use Scrum, the framework.
So what happened in that first sprint? Like, walk us through what happened there.
Yeah, our goal was not creating a perfect plan. Our goal was to create a kind of a small PBIs, craft some sprint goals or craft a sprint goal and work towards that sprint goal, right? But it was a little bit complicated because sometimes we need to have a kind of a maturity level when we are discussing the benefits, when we are discussing features, and due to the lack of the knowledge for the PO, and I would say the lack of my knowledge, the lack of the knowledge of the Scrum team, we waste like a kind of 4-5 hours discussing 2 or 3 features that we would deliver to the business. And we were able to complete that meeting. We worked through 3 weeks on those features, but at the end, we just realized that the business wasn't satisfied with those features, right? So it was a situation where we, as a Scrum team, we try to decide the best to the business, right? So it was a good learn because we could understand some details when we try to explore the business needs with the business, right?
So it sounds to me like there were like a multitude of things happening there that made it hard for the team and of course yourself as a Scrum Master to deliver. One is what you just said. The team tried to invent what was that business needed instead of, for example, asking them and involving them from the start. So that's definitely an anti-pattern. But as you look back now that you have so many years of experience and you have done Scrum, or you have had the Scrum Master role, you have the product owner experience as well, and collaboration with product owner. When you look back, what do you wish you would have done differently in the context of setting up a new team that didn't know Scrum, in a new project with a PO that didn't know Scrum and had no experience as a PO? What would you do different these days?
Yeah, when we build a Scrum team, first of all, it's important to clarify that was an initiative that we want to transition from the Waterfall to Scrum, right? So it wasn't an initiative that the organization requests to us. It was an initiative that myself wanted to deliver projects in a better way, right? For that reason, we try to accommodate some people, to organize some people in order to join that pilot, right? I would try to work in the foundations with the team, right? I would try to have some sessions to discuss about roles and responsibilities with the PO, roles and responsibilities with the developers, right? Just to try to provide a very high level overview about what is a Scrum team, what's the benefit for attending the daily meetings, what's the purpose of a sprint planning, a sprint review, a sprint retrospective. And I think we were very willing to deliver a project using Scrum, but we didn't cover the foundations in a very concrete way.
So let's dive into that a little bit. So for the young Scrum Masters out there that might be exactly in that position right now, starting with a new team that doesn't have Scrum experience, what would you cover as the foundations if you had the opportunity to go back and do it?
Yeah.
Besides the roles and responsibilities, obviously, which you already mentioned.
I think they must be aware the core responsibilities for each one. For example, what's the primary accountability for a product owner? Maximize the value of a product, right? What's the primary role for a Scrum Master? Team effectiveness. And what's the primary role for a developer? Deliver with quality, right? And delivery towards the product goal, right? So this would be the three main tips I would give to anybody. Starting from those tips, I think we can break down and understand the benefits of each meeting, right? The importance to have a kind of well-organized product backlog, right? The importance to stick to time commitments, right? So we have the Scrum Guide with some guideline. So the Scrum Guide is so simple, but so complex because they cover some basic information, but at the end, you realize most of the answers that you need is there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's actually one thing, like when in doubt, one good tip is also to go and read the Scrum Guide and get inspired by what is there, right? And this, of course, helps you the more experience you have, because you start to see a lot more things in the text that you can't see when you don't yet have the experience. So when you don't yet have the experience, maybe you do that together with somebody who has the experience. Hey, I have this problem. In the planning meeting, we were like, as you said, 4 or 5 hours talking about 2 topics. Like, I need to fix this. And then we can look at, the Scrum Guide and discuss that with a colleague, a Scrum Master with more experience, and bounce off ideas and come up with a different alternative.
Yeah, that's the point. So you have the Scrum Guide as a starting point. So you can find the accountabilities. You can find there the ceremonies that we should take, the time commitments for each ceremony, right? So again, it's simple, but it's very useful. It's a kind of handbook we should have
absolutely
in place every time.
A great tip. Thank you for sharing that, Ricardo.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around to know more about this year's Agile Online Summit. The summit will have 4 keynotes and 4 tracks you will not want to miss. The keynotes will touch on critical topics for us, from delivering on time to helping you to focus on sustainability. The 4 tracks are tools, so we'll focus on tools you need to excel at your job, but also your mission. We'll also have a track on sustainability, which is, of course, about people and their sustainable pace, but it's also about how do we bring sustainability to the products and the planet we inhabit. We'll have a 3rd track about happiness, talking about doing what we love and, most crucially, loving what we do. And finally, the 4th track will be live. It will be mostly hands-on sessions to help you roll up your sleeves together with the presenters. Oh, and we will also have a coaching clinic, as we usually do, organized to help you discuss and get inspired to solve the hardest challenges you face at work. This year, we'll have a special emphasis on interaction with your peers, so get your ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/AOS 2022. As always, we have free tickets for anyone that wants to attend live, and the VIP tickets for those of you who want to keep the videos forever. So check them out at bit.ly/AOS 2022. I'll see you on the conference floor. Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests help their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.